Divine evening, everyone. And we welcome you all to the second day of Holistic Buddha. So let's begin our session with 30 minutes of Anapanasati meditation. So for this, ensure that you are sitting in the most comfortable position. Clasp your fingers, cross your legs, and gently close your eyes. Ensure that your awareness is on your natural breath, the incoming and the outgoing natural breath during this meditation. Open your both palms and keep it over your eyes for 10 seconds. And gently open your eyes. Thank you so much for participating in today's meditation. I would like to play a small video on Swan. Just hold on.
I've been privileged to be with my Guruji.
Would like to invite Smita for today's session. Over to you, Smita. Thank you.
Can I share my screen?
Yes. Yes.
Can you make me co-host? I'm already? Okay. Can you see my screen? Okay.
Yes, we can.
So today I will be, today is day 2. Welcome everybody. Thank you for joining today's session. Today I will be covering the reasons for going plant-based. So majorly with respect to your health, there are other reasons why we also go plant-based. For example, for Mother Earth, for the animals, which is majorly ethical reasons, and then other environmental reasons. We will cover some of those topics in the further sessions. But then today I will be dealing majorly with respect to your body, with respect to your health, with respect to your spirituality and things like that. Okay. So first of all, friends, we are humans, and then we are not meant to have any, for example, when we talk about what are we dealing with in terms of plant-based foods, what are not plant-based foods? Where anything that is derived from an animal is called a non-plant-based food. For example, things like dairy, fish, meat, or honey for that matter, anything that is coming from an animal is not our food, majorly because that animal made that food for its own survival. So let's try to see why we are not designed to eat such food. Of course, you might ask me a question saying, okay, there have been times when people have converted to eating all these foods, but then although we are designed, or although we look like we don't rather need to eat all of those things, why is it that we have come into the process of eating all that? I will cover that in the last slide. But before that, let us see and understand how our body's design is all about. So when you look at our teeth, right, our teeth is mostly flat. And of course, we have the canine, which is majorly for tearing and all of those things. In the carnivores, it is majorly for tearing. But then we have just enough for biting and then for crushing, not really tearing the flesh and things like that. So even if you are a non-vegetarian today, I'm sure you are not taking a big piece of flesh and then trying to tear it like a lion or a tiger, right? So second thing, if you see the jaws, our jaws also move sideways. But then the animal jaws are not meant to move sideways. They only move up and down because they just go and then grab it and then try to tear it and pull it and then just start to eat it. So even the saliva that we have is very, very alkaline in nature, which is exactly why when you eat a lot of spicy food and acidic food, we tend to secrete a lot of saliva. Why? So many people think that saliva is secreted majorly because the food is very tasty and then we love to eat those foods and all that. But scientifically speaking, saliva is majorly produced to protect the teeth, to protect the gums, because saliva has a sticky substance, right? So that is basically trying to shield our body, shield the insides of the mouth, so that it remembers from the past when you've eaten similar foods, it has actually hurt the body. So the body remembers and it tries to secrete the saliva next time, so that when you try to eat the same foods, the body is trying to protect itself. But this is slightly acidic in terms of saliva, in terms of the carnivorous animals. Then coming to the tongue, if you've seen your own, if you've seen animals, if you have animals like, if you've seen the animals, I've seen this on Google and things like that. But then if you've seen the tongue of any other animal, they are very rough in nature. But then if we look at our own tongue, it is very smooth. There are people who have, would you say, little bumps like things on the tongue. And of course, those are majorly inflammations, and those will pain, or they will actually have a cut or something like that, and that will have to heal. But then when you look at a normal tongue, it is majorly smooth in nature, and it is very, very ideal for the consumption of soft and fruits and vegetables and those kinds of things, not pokey or very hard kind of vegetables or hard kind of meat and things like that. So even in terms of chewing, we have to chew it like a mixie. So it's like we'll have to chew it so much that it is almost like a smoothie inside our mouth, and then we swallow it. But then have you seen the animals chewing it? They actually take big size and then they just gulp it. There is no actually mastication that is happening in the mouth. Then if you look at the stomach, we have a very long gut, right? We have a very, very long gut. And this gut is majorly we have a lot of sections where protein digestion happens, carbohydrate digestion happens, starch digestion, and all of those things happen. And our hydrochloric acid is not as potent as the hydrochloric acid that is there in the carnivorous animals. It is not so potent enough, it is not so strong enough to digest the animal-based food, whether it is dairy or whether it is this one. So when we continue to have some of those foods, there are consequences, because the body is not designed. There are consequences, and hence we will deal about that in the next few slides. So coming to the intestines, again, the intestines of a carnivorous animal is very, very short, because meat itself is a very acidic food. and the carnivorous animal is also designed to handle it very, very well. And it also expels it very fast, because it also takes a lot of energy to digest the meat. And hence, what happens? They sit in one place, or they rest in one place, just so that it gets digested and then gets out of the body. But whereas we human beings have eaten meat, and then we go around doing our office work and housework and many of these things, right? So imagine how much the body suffers to digest that food. So isn't it? So there are so many things where we behave like human beings, but then we also eat the food like a carnivore, and we don't behave like a carnivore, right? So the carnivore obeys the natural laws, and hence it's able to sustain all of those things. But we don't obey the natural laws, and hence we pay the penalty for those things, right? So there is also our hands. If you see our hands, right, we even though we develop long nails, those nails are not strong enough to penetrate into an animal and then pluck it and then eat it and things like that. So we have very short nails. We can probably pluck out the orange peel or something like that, or maybe with great difficulty we can maybe cut some apple or something like that. But then beyond that, we really cannot do anything. Even we can't even go and then scratch an animal and then create those marks. It is that bad. So hence we are not even made to kill any animal. So if we have to eat an animal, if we are designed to eat an animal, we should be also capable of killing our food and then eating it. So if we are not designed to kill our prey or kill our food and eat it, then obviously that food, that is not called our food. So hence meat especially is not our food. And last one is urine. Our urine is majorly alkaline in nature, and the urine of the carnivore is acidic in nature. So if we continue to feed on animal food, the uric acid in our body increases, which is a toxic byproduct, and we don't have something called the uricase, which is developed, which is secreted by the liver to oxidize that uric acid. So hence we cannot manage it. It has to be expelled through the urine. And many people who are not able to expel it through the urine have seen a lot of issues where they have high uric acid content, like the gout and many such issues, leg pains and things like that. So plants also are very, so when you take a child, for that matter, if you take a child in front of a meat and an apple or an orange or something, so you just allow the child to go and pick whatever it wants. What does it pick? It will go and pick up something that is very colorful, which is a fruit or a vegetable or something like that. But then it may not go and then pick up a meat and then try to eat it, because it doesn't understand. The natural instincts of a baby is to pick up something that is more colorful, that is more juicy, and eat it. And that is how we can understand that we are majorly designed to eating more aromatic and juicy kind of foods. And like I said, our teeth is not designed to tear. So some of these things I think we also spoke about. So for that matter, just imagine if we were actually meat eaters, we had to salivate, or we had to maybe feel really good when we look at a chicken, or if we look at a goat or something that is running in front of us, right? We had to go and then grab it and then bite it and then start eating it. Even a non-vegetarian today does not stomach the look of a raw flesh and then feel like eating it. He loves, or she loves, eating all that masalas that go along with that. So it's the masala that is basically attracting you and not the meat. So hence, it is very important to understand that what is it that you're going behind and what is it that you are missing in terms of points. So you can today, for example, jackfruit, raw jackfruit, when you actually cook it, it apparently tastes very much like meat in terms of chewing, its chewiness and all that. So you can put the same masala to a raw jackfruit and then have its curry and put the raw jackfruit in whatever you want. And some of these things are called mock meats. Of course, in the plant-based industry, there are lots of something called mock meats, which are very unhealthy in nature. So please don't go for some of those things. Please stick to plant-based, something that is very, very close to a plant. So jackfruit is very close to a plant. So hence, remember that we are not meant to definitely have meat. So second thing about why we have to also think about some of these things is fruits, vegetables, greens are very highly vibrating in nature. So we are all made up of atoms, isn't it? So if we are all made up of atoms, everything is made up of atoms, even there are atoms in the air. So atoms have electrons around them, the nucleus, and there are electrons. So which means there is vibration at every level. So if there are vibration, the fruits, vegetables, and greens are very highly vibrating in nature. They are, especially fruits, for example, it ranges from 6,500 angstroms to 10,000 angstroms. So that is how the atomic vibrations or energy is measured for some of these things. But human beings are less than even 6,500. So when we eat something that is more higher vibrating compared to us, as per the rule, we tend to go and then pick up those vibrations. So when we start picking up those vibrations, what happens? Our cells start to detox. We all know as meditators that when higher cosmic energy enters, when we meditate, what happens? We also experience a lot of detox and healing in our body. Similarly, what happens when we eat foods that are higher vibrating in nature, we also tend to detox. So imagine if you can actually go plant-based with high fruits, vegetables, and greens, and also be a meditator. Isn't that such a great bonus for you? You can also heal when you are awake. You can also heal when you meditate. So that is a positive thing. So that is higher in vibration. So secondly, it is very close to Mother Earth. We are all completely grounded, and hence it is very important to understand that we are not grounded all the time. So when you eat foods that are very grounded or very high in vibration, we tend to catch those vibrations, which is similar to whatever I said. So next one is animals or any animal products are very high in pesticides and any kind of antibiotics and many of these things, because if you have to eat it or if you have to consume it, they have to look very nice and fresh and juicy and fat and all of those things. So even for that matter, dairy has to come to you. Every house should get dairy. So that animal in nature was not designed to manufacture milk like that to supply to every single house. But today we humans have become so smart that we are making it a machine. So since nature has not made her like a machine, she has to be tampered such that she produces more milk. So hence she also gets a lot of antibiotic shots, hormonal shots, and many of these things. Plus, people are very stingy. They don't want to spend a whole lot on food and fodder and many of those things. They don't want to give organic fodder to some of these cattle. So what they do, they feed all this things that are that the industry or the human beings have basically discarded, which is majorly full of pesticides and things like that, because they don't care about animals. So hence, ultimately, whatever that animal is feeding, you don't know what she's feeding or what she's fed. Ultimately, it comes out to you in the form of milk or in the form of meat. So hence, it's very important to understand that we should know our source of food. We should exactly know whether your food is an organic source, a natural source, or it's coming from a less contaminated source. So it is, and it has to be very close to a plant. Why should we eat all these plants indirectly? If we are constantly eating all the meat, that is meat of a herbivorous animal, why shouldn't we eat the plants directly? Why should we have them indirectly just for taste, when the same taste can be achieved from other plant sources as well? We all spoke about masalas, right? So the same masalas can be added to other plant sources and you can actually relish it. See, plant-based living is not new. even before we have seen that in India, it has been very, very old in the other parts of the other countries. And what I'm talking to you about is definitely not new. And this subject has so much of depth that I hardly have scratched the 1% of it. And you have plenty of recipes out there on the internet, which will definitely help you become so comfortable with plant-based living. Yeah, so coming back to this, it's important to understand that we should not be consuming food that is so heavily commercialized and so heavily there is a lot of profit in such an industry, and hence you will definitely not be knowing what that animal is going through and all of those things, right? And then these fruits, vegetables, and greens are very colorful. We all know that our chakras associate with different colors, right? And there are fruits and vegetables and all those things that associate with these colors. So these are all aligned to nature. When we have come from nature and the plants have come from nature, why shouldn't we eat these things directly from nature? Plus, we have so many varieties, right? There is only one chicken, there is only one goat, there is only one cow, there is only one so many animal, whatever animal that you're eating, one fish, maybe 4, 5 fishes. But then imagine the kind of fruits we have today. In Bangalore itself, I'm able to eat at least about 10 to 12 fruits. That much of fruits are available. So we have so many fruits, so many vegetables, and man has become so smart that we are able to, and because of all this, what do you say, trade or whatever it is that, or scientific ways, hydroponics and all of those things, we are able to grow so many other fruits and vegetables, lots of beautiful lettuce and things like that, right? So hence, as per the change in seasons, nature is not even helping us become bored. Sometimes we eat watermelon, sometimes we are eating mango, sometimes we are eating orange, sometimes we are eating grapes. We are not bored at all. By the time we get bored, we get a new fruit or new vegetable. So it is so beautiful. And then we all know that fruits are very easy to digest. Vegetables are very easy to digest. Imagine a day when you're eating meat or drinking dairy whole day, like food. Have you ever done that? If you're not ready to do that, then obviously that food, you already know that that food is so dense. But then I'm sure you can test out eating fruits all day and then see how much energetic you feel, right? And we all know, if we've done workshops in PSSM, we all know that all our third eye masters are constantly saying, eat fruits, drink your juices, eat fruits, drink your juices, because we are going through a high energy workshop and things like that. So if we understand some of those things, we should also understand that fruits and vegetables are our primary foods. And hence, if we have to spiritually grow, this is what we'll have to pick as our primary foods. So, and of course, we have sprouts, we have nuts and seeds, we have grains, we have so many varieties in the plant-based world. So coming to dairy products. So what is dairy products? Anything coming from any animal, any mammal, any animal which is a mammal, and its milk and its milk products, other products of the milk made from the same milk, is called dairy. It can come from a cow, buffalo. These days we are getting it from camels, sheep, whatnot, buffaloes, and many of these things. So everything is dairy. So imagine, friends, if we don't share our milk, our human milk, with any other animal, and we are also mammals, they are also mammals. It's like animal, we are all from the animal kingdom. And if they are like our peers, and if we don't share our milk with a calf, why should the animal share its milk with us? Isn't it? So there are, of course, there are so many issues where some mothers are not able to rather produce milk and things like that. That is majorly because of lifestyle. Lifestyle corrections will automatically bring out that milk, because if nature can give you a baby, nature also has to provide or make provisions to nourish that baby. And it is very important to understand that. So all of these things are called dairy, and these days it is not just milk. It is curd, it is buttermilk, cheese, ghee, paneer, and all of those things. I mean, ice creams, whatnot, isn't it? So all of these things, and then to make each of those things, we need so much of milk. A cow produces milk only for its baby, as much as the baby needs. So if we are all mothers, many of us are mothers here, and we know that when we made a baby, and if it feeds once, then by the time it feeds next time, we don't have milk. It has to be produced by the time the baby feeds on it again, isn't it? So sometimes we have more, but not enough for the baby to drink at that time. So we are not having like liters and liters of milk to feed, let's say, 10 babies. Let's say there are 10 human babies. We are not having enough milk to feed 10 babies at one shot. But if we are fed hormonal injections and many of those kinds of antibiotics and many of those things, I'm sure we can be tested to feed about 10 babies. But is this even going to help us? Aren't we going to become sick? If that's our profession, to constantly keep feeding babies, 10 babies, 15 babies, 20 babies, 25 babies on a daily basis, liters and liters and liters, how can we even sustain that? So over a period of time, we will die. So that is what is happening even in the dairy industry. This cow is majorly becoming a factory, and cow can't speak. So how can she express her emotions and things like that? See, one thing that you have to understand is, first of all, dairy is not our food, majorly because that animal made it for that calf, which has to grow into a big cow. Pounds, it is measured in pounds. And how can we drink that milk and then become like a human? I mean, expect to be like a human being. We will also become like a cow only one day, right? Big and fat and things like that. So hence, it's very important to understand that we are not designed to eat that food at all. So scientifically speaking, we all have microbiomes in our body. So we have a symbiotic relationship with something called the microbiomes, which are majorly loads of bacteria in our body, which are good bacteria, which keep our health, gut health, and then we give it protection. We give the protection to that microbiomes. So when the baby moves out of the mother's womb, these microbiomes, a part of these microbiomes, go to the baby's gut. Rather, they travel along with the baby outside to the baby's gut. Now, these microbiomes need to be fed something or the other because they are germs, they need food. And what is their job? Their job is to prepare the baby's gut for solids. Okay, so this first set of germs which actually go into the baby are also the same germs which were there in the mother's gut. So the mother knows what germs are there inside me. So what she does, she makes exactly a unique recipe of milk which has proteins and sugar and fat, which is exactly meant for that baby alone, not another baby also, not another cow also, only that baby. Very, very uniquely for that baby, because just exactly those set of microbiomes have gone to that baby, right? So now this milk is supposed to feed those germs. It is not feeding the baby. These germs will feed on that, and then they will prepare the baby's gut for the next solids. And only then the teeth and other things will come. So have you ever tried to feed the baby? We all know that we never feed the baby anything, any solid or anything until a certain period in time, right? This is exactly the reason, because the baby's gut is not ready for anything. There was a case that came to me, and then they came to me for plant-based milks, because the baby was feeding formula, and they told that the baby was lactose intolerant. And when they came to me with this, the baby was becoming all blue and getting admitted to the NICU, because once it fed the mother's milk, the human mother's milk itself, it used to basically show all these reactions. So I said the baby is too young. It was hardly 2 months or something like that. I said the baby is too young to even feed plant-based milks. This is the reason, because it doesn't have microbiomes to digest plant-based milk also. It has only microbiomes to accept mother's milk. So what I did was I changed the mother's diet to majorly fruits, vegetables, and greens and those kinds of things. So what happened? She started experiencing changes in her own body, and she started producing more milk also. And that's when she tried to feed the baby at that time. So within 10 days, the baby again was able to feed on her own milk, and then the baby was not found to be lactose intolerant anymore. So if you get the connection here, the source is very important. If your source is clean and non-contaminated, not having antibiotics, not having hormones, not having any of these commercialized business stuff in it, then you are also safe. Today you may say, I'm not taking any medicines and things like that, but then you don't know when your medicines are coming from. Every day you're drinking, every day you're feeding on antibiotics, every day you're feeding on all of these things which are fed to these cows. Because these cows are in a very cooped up place. They hardly even see sunlight. Thousands of cows. Do you think it's a joke to take thousands of cows out to the sunlight? Okay, enjoy all the sun bath and things like that. Enjoy in the pastures. Do you think it's a joke? Imagine the kind of work that is involved to take all these cows outside and things like that. So they never take. So they are all cooped up in a dark, shady place where there's a lot of, which is a breeding ground for bacteria because they are not potty trained and all that. So there's a lot of poop going on every now and then. So they are sitting in their poop and all that. So this also is a breeding ground for bacteria. So because they keep falling sick, what they do, they feed them antibiotics every single day just so that they are not so sick. And every day these udders are fitted with metal milk sucking machines, so they bleed, and then that causes mastitis and all that. We all know when we are mothers, when the baby is constantly sucking, there will be a lot of pus and blood and things like that in some of the mothers. So this again happens to the cows, but then they are like saying amba amba only, right? What do they say? So how will a non-trained person, it's not like doctors are going around looking at the cows. So all these people who are just workers are going around the cows, and then when they say amba, okay, amba is one more, same thing for them. So what they do, they constantly milk and they just fit the machines. So the machines are now collecting pus and blood and all of those things. So in the past, Louis Pasteur understood all of these things, that there are things like this coming into the milk. So that is when pasteurization started, homogenization, to remove all the dead bodies and all these things started in the milk. So the cow goes through a lot of such pains. So hence, it is very important to understand that we are not actually eating, drinking anything that is good or pure or anything that is food. It is purely like plastic, right? So that is what is the dairy that we are getting today. And people ask a lot of such questions. Oh, Krishna was drinking dairy and all of those things. Please understand, Krishna was literally in some thousands of years back. Do you even have his kind of body? Do you even have his kind of life? Right? Are you living in the countryside? He did not even have electricity those days. They lived in lamps and those kinds of things. And then they did not even have EMF radiations. They did not have phones. They did not have a stressed life. So we cannot compare our lives to them, friends. So don't talk about Krishna. And even if even if they have drank, the milk was not so commercialized. Right? So we are not talking about milk being poison or something. Yes, it was produced in nature. Maybe even if they drank, they did not see so many contaminations in their body, right? And we all know that all the cows of Vrindavan used to go to Govardhanagiri, and then they used to feed on all these beautiful herbs and all those things. And then earth was a much beautiful place at that time. Today we have literally spoiled the earth with many of these things. So let's not even go to compare Krishna, right? And you all know that in Bhagavad Gita, he has clearly told, I just need an offering of leaves, flowers, fruits, and those kinds of things only. He doesn't even ask any cooked food and all of those things. So hence, let's not even compare Krishna's life to our life. If he says he was the one who used to feed all the calves and then allow them to feed on the mother's milk. And then he was stealing the butters majorly because he was trying to help the gopis to understand that if you have something, you need to distribute it. You should not, that hoarding mentality that we have, right? That fear of the future, that I want everything, all this kind of selfish mentality that we have already developed was already developing at that time also. So me, mine, my family only should eat this. These. So all that he wanted to promote oneness, and that is exactly why he would go and then just destroy all those things and then just give it off to people. So people were trying to. He was trying to give a message with every single act of his. So today we are not even having the consciousness nor the awareness to understand the depth of his lifestyle. So to even understand that consciousness that Krishna has, who had already opened his seventh chakra and who was already divine at the time, we can't even think in his level. And the messages that he gives, even in Bhagavad Gita, so many masters have basically translated it, and every single person only looks at it from his own perspective, the kind of awareness levels that they have. So coming back to milk, so this animal food is very high in fat and very high in protein. For whom? For the calf, to become a big fat cow. So we are not meant to have it. So if we don't have those microbiomes, so what do the microbiomes do? They feed on this food. They release something called molecules. Those molecules are going into the bloodstream for all the bodies, for the body cells. But now, do we have the microbiomes to feed that cow's milk? Did those microbiomes get passed on from that cow to our body? If we don't have the functionality itself to break down that food, what will happen to that food? That food is going to sit there and wait. And it is going to get mixed up with all our HCl, hydrochloric acid and all that. It is going to rot, putrefy, and that will become even more acidic. The animal protein becomes even more acidic in our body. And that acidic protein, what happens? To neutralize that acidic protein, the body leaches or pulls out all our calcium from our bones and then tries to hush up that problem. So imagine, have you seen old people around our household, rather in our own household, when many people who are vegetarians and non-vegetarians and all that, have you seen they're always limping, they always have knee problems, osteoporosis, all of those things? Shouldn't they be very high in calcium, because whole life they've been constantly feeding on coffees and teas and all of those things, and butters and buttermilk and everything? Shouldn't they be very high on calcium, and shouldn't they be the most strongest compared to even a child? Why are they basically becoming so weak and with all these pains in the body, bone pains and all of these osteoporosis and all that? Because they are the ones whose bones have been leached to the maximum extent. Milk may have calcium or whatever, but that is for a calf, not for a human being, because we don't have the functionality itself in our body to break that down. So hence it is hard to digest, and it will somehow, the body will barely manage to expel it out with mucus and then with constipations and all of those things. Hence, milk is not our food for all of these reasons that I've mentioned. So ethically speaking, also it is not our food, because there is so much of cruelty happening. They also make the cow pregnant, and then 15 years the cow may live with a very good lifestyle or something. But otherwise, in this kind of, if they are constantly making babies, because if they don't make a baby, they won't make milk. And if they don't make milk, you won't get your coffee in the morning. And then if your milk wala comes and says, "Madam, today my cow did not give milk," you will say, "What kind of businessman are you, yaar? We've given you 1 month of pay. Can't you just manage your inventory or things like that? Why are you coming telling me all these things? You should not even be in business." That is what you're going to tell back at him. So that is why what he will do, he will go and secretly put injections into the cow, and he will not even come and tell you all these things. So the cow will always produce milk. And then as soon as that baby is born, they are going to again inject sperms into the baby, into the cow, with a very, very rough hands, untrained hands. And then the cow, which is not a natural mating process also, and hence the cow goes through very painful, it's called a rape rack, and it goes through such rape racks, and it also goes through the pregnancy process, rather the delivery process, and there is no baby around to feed the milk. Now it goes through a lot of trauma, because there is no baby to feed the milk. So there's that detachment from the baby, and then it feels that sorrow, it feels the loss. So if our baby dies, imagine the kind of loss we feel in our life. The same loss the cow also feels, because it's a very compassionate animal. So what will happen? It will release a lot of cortisols, friends. If you are stressed, what happens? You will release cortisols. Imagine how much of BP and stress and all that. I don't have to tell you about stress. They also go through stress. If they go through stress, the hormones that they release are the same hormones that we release. And such a person, such a cow, which is releasing hormones on a daily basis, on a yearly basis, all its life, how reliable is it to give you healthy milk? Okay, people can ask me, oh, what about A2 milk and all that? Any cow that is not giving only enough milk for the baby, but it is commercially tampered to give milk for few hundred houses or something like that, is going through some form of tampering, which means they may not use allopathy medicines or something, they may use some other herbal medicines and all that, but still, it still goes through the same hormonal reactions, it still goes through the same process of making extra, and then it goes through the same process. So no milk is ethical. It is all non-ethical. Hence, it is important for you to understand that milk is not our food. We have plenty of sources of plant-based milks, which we will cover in this course. So please stay tuned for that. And I told you, right, it is all acid forming. Acid means what? The bodies, that food changes its pH value from the pH value. If it is less than 7, it is all called acidic. So when the food is acidic, what happens? It burns our insides. And the body is supposed to be alkaline, except the stomach in our body. Everything is supposed to be alkaline, and that acid in the stomach also has to be as per the hydrochloric acid that can be tolerated. Not more than that, not less than that. That is to digest the protein, plant protein, not anything else. So if it is like this, it is important to understand how much your health is degrading on a daily basis with that 1 cup of chai, 1 cup of this, 1 cup of that, right? In the past, there were people who thought that vegetarianism was the best because milk industry was not a boom at that time. Milk industry came, something called the White Revolution happened in India, where a lot of Jersey cows, see, even in Mahabharata, if you see, all the Kauravas and Pandavas used to have milk because they were very rich. And there was Ashwatthama who wanted to also have milk, but then his father, Dronacharya, gave him rice milk, which means he mixed rice and water and then gave milk and said, this is milk. So milk was a luxury. It was not there in every single house, but many companies have made milk affordable to every single house and then brought in ads with all this white mustache and all that with nice creamy things on their face to attract us to drink all that. After that, what happened? Milk became a very, very easy to access in India. And hence, if you look at all our teachers in the past who promoted vegetarianism, they all promoted at the time when milk was not in a boom, dairy industry was not in a boom. Today, the pharmaceutical industry, the dairy industry, and the beef industry are 3 musketeers who are holding the GDP of the country, and they are promoting each other. If you have a lot of meat and dairy, who supplies? India is the largest exporter of meat. Where is it coming from? From all the dairy industry. Now what happens? The dairy industry, we keep drinking, eating, and then we need a lot of medicines because we are always falling sick. So we go to the pharmaceutical industry. So there are these 3 industries which supports each other and then also contributes to the GDP of the country. So of course, let's not go to the countryside at all. Let's focus on ourselves and our choices. So hence, dairy is definitely not for it. From a karmic perspective also, once you understand that dairy is not a food that is for me, now onwards, what will happen? Your karmas also start. The karmas, you start sharing the karma of the cow, right? So hence, it is very important to understand that you are not a consumer of any animal product. So this is my last slide, and it is something that I wanted to, it is pretty intuitive and something that I've also understood on my own, but let me share that. So from my perspective, spiritual reasons, right? We are a soul. We all know that we are a soul, right? I don't have to tell you that. So why did we come here? The creator wanted to experience his own creation. So when we came here, we have come here just with the perspective of experiencing creation. So this, as a soul, what is our journey? We have detached from the source, and our journey is to go and merge with the source, merge with the creator, back with the creator. So what is our purpose on earth? We are on a game of treasure hunt. What is this treasure hunt game doing? What are we searching in this treasure hunt? We are searching for our highest bliss, which is Satchidanand, isn't it? Satchidanand is our true state, is our soul state. And what are we searching? In everything we are searching that only. We are searching that in food, a cup of coffee, in some milk or in something, whatever, in food, in the relationships, in achievements, in our job, in the boss's way of treating us, in respect, everything we are searching for what? That pleasure, that happiness. But we know that happiness here. We can't measure it. So what we do? So the job of the soul is to basically experience every single thing in creation and compare, while experiencing, compare that with your soul state, which is that inside, whatever is inside. So as that is what makes you feel comfortable. That is what is called comfort zone, getting into the comfort zone. But if it is every time we start feeling comfortable, we think that we've already got that Satchidanand, and then what we do, we don't like to get out of that comfort zone. And then what the universe will do and your higher self will do, it will try to pull you out of that comfort zone, and then by giving you some form of problems or something like that, and then it tries to push you towards your goal. Otherwise, what? You'll be sitting in your comfort zone, thinking that is itself your soul state. So this is the objective, basically, to find our way back to the source. Now, if we have to find our way back to the source and we are here for experiencing creation, so the creation has a lot of negativity also. I don't want to call it negative, but when it comes to duality, there is a negative side and there's a positive side. So we have to experience. So if there is a dual side to nature, and that is what makes it harmonious. So if we have to understand both the sides and become one with nature, we'll have to understand both the sides of it. And that is why the souls had to experience all the negative aspects by being, let's say, brutal murderers and those kinds of things, where we have been literally absolutely not using our thinking side at all, our intellect at all, where we are not listening to our inner voice. So you've done all the mean acts, all kinds of terrible acts we've actually done. In everything, what are we searching for? We're searching for the bliss. So, but every time you search for the bliss, what happens? There is a time when you'll say, oh, I've searched enough and I'm not getting it. So now I don't want to repeat this. So for example, let's say I'm a serial killer and I'm constantly going and killing somebody. In every kill, I'm basically getting the joy. But second time, third time, 20th time, 50th time, after 50th time, I will see that I'm not getting that joy anymore because I'm constantly comparing and it is not matching. So I will decide that from today onwards, I'm not going to kill anybody. So that is when your subconscious mind registers that killing is a bad act. So like this, everybody have been from a state of duality, and we all have to move towards a state of oneness. And we are all listening, people who have signed up for this course. Everybody, all of you are ready for plant-based living, but you are at various stages. Some of you are collecting the seeds to become plant-based in future. Some of you are still preparing your ground, and today you're just hearing it. Some of you are already ready, and you're ready to become plant-based, but you don't have the awareness, you don't have the knowledge to become plant-based. Some of you have already followed some amount of plant-based, but you are not very satisfied with that. So we are all following different levels. We are all at different levels of consciousness, but we all are moving towards oneness. In the process of moving towards oneness, we will have to finish off that quota of searching the treasure hunt that I spoke about, right? We all have to search that quota and finish off. Today, if you feel that, no, I know that plant-based is good, but I still want to have that cup of tea and all that, which means there is still some amount of areas in that duality which you have not finished yet. So The soul is always curious. Let's say you pull that soul from that place and say, no, come here, yeah, it's okay. The soul will always want to say, think, maybe that Sachidanand was there. Maybe that bliss was there. I did not search. So what soul is designed to do is it is always going to search every single aspect until a stage comes where it decides, I will never go there because there is nothing in it for me. I will not do that anymore. So that is what is called so-called bad. So there is nothing good or bad on earth. It's just our definition of what we don't want to do. It's our choice. So in this process of moving from duality to oneness, we all have to go from right, wrong, go through that right, wrong concept, our moral compass and everything, and move towards oneness. And in this state of oneness, all our animal brothers and sisters are a part of our life. And they are not any less, because you have been an animal in the past life also. Because before we became human beings, Bhagavad Gita also says that 84 lakhs of yonis or lives you should have already led before you became a human being. So what are those 84 lakhs of lives? You've been a plant, you've been a rock, you've been a bird, you've been everything, and you've been many, many animals. So for all you know, you may be killing yourself also in the process, because we know that time is not linear. Past, present, and future is all happening together, right? So hence, it is very important for you to understand that animal killing will actually come and add back to you only as a karma. And even in many of our scriptures, Adi Shakti, we know that there is a lot of Bali and all of those things that happens everywhere. And many people are innocent. They don't know that they should never kill animals for Bali and things like that, right? So when Adi Shankaracharya asked Adi Shakti mother, he says, people don't know that they have to give you all of these things as offering, and you are also not a meat eater. How are you taking all of these offerings? So what she says that I know that I don't eat it, but they don't know, but they are still not in the process of understanding that they should not. But this is going to accumulate as their karma. When they realize that what they did is they shouldn't be doing some of these things, that is when they will get all of these things back, and they'll have to repent for all of these things. So nothing goes, because animals are also my children, human beings are also my children, and nothing will go, nothing will go unforgiven. It's not, karma is not bad. It is just that there are some things that you did in body consciousness, which you will have to undo and then do it at a soul consciousness. So there is nothing bad or good about it. In all of these things, you're anyway gaining wisdom. In the process of your treasure hunt, you're anyway gaining wisdom. So ultimately, why we'll have to go plant-based is, that is the ultimate state. Whether you go today or tomorrow, whether you're taking seeds today and then you're already sprouting today, it doesn't matter. But please understand that in the path of oneness, you cannot harm others. You cannot take others for granted. Others in the sense, other souls for granted, and think that they are born only to serve me. Because we drink coffee and tea and pleasure, for everything for pleasure, friends. Because when we were primates, we definitely, when we were looking for food, we were all living in the tropical area, where there was a lot of fruits and vegetables and all growing, because it was a water-filled area. But then as we started getting this territorial mentality and things like that, we started moving away from that area, and then we started looking for food. When we did not get food, many of these mammals were also feeding their young, so we kept the mammal with us. That is when domestication of all these cows and all of these things started. But then we did not really drink them for pleasure. Today we are drinking them for pleasure. We are not in survival mode. Are you in survival mode? Seriously, none of us are in survival mode. We have vendors with plenty of fruits, vegetables, and greens in the market outside. So we are definitely not in survival mode today. So hence, we definitely do not think that coffees and teas are necessary in your life, and definitely not paneers and cheeses and all of those things. So please, when you make up your mind to get rid of some of these animal dependencies from your life, you will find a way, a beautiful way, where you will find plenty of products, plenty of alternatives to match your tastes. I went vegan in 2012 and I have never looked back. I did not become vegan for ethical reasons in 2012. For health reasons only I became. But then in 2014, I learned what is ethical way of being I understood what it is to be plant-based. And I have never looked back, and I've been thankful to the universe every single moment of my life for making me such a person. Because today, if I'm sitting in front of you and then talking about all these spiritual aspects, it is because I have been gifted by the universe, considered some amount of worthiness in me to basically talk about all of these things. So hence, it is very important for you to understand that our true path, whether it is today or tomorrow, we will have to go from a non-vegetarian lifestyle to a vegetarian lifestyle and to a plant-based lifestyle, which does not involve depending on any animal for our food. And then we'll have to eventually go, and then when we have to go and then rather live in higher dimensions, or rather our consciousness move towards higher dimensions, we will have to depend on foods like fruits, because they are the highest vibrating on the planet. We cannot sustain in those kind of consciousness with let's say lower vibrating foods, because you may hit that samadhi state and come back, but to retain that samadhi state, you will have to constantly keep doing a lot of work. And for that, if you have to remain in that state 24 hours a day, it means that you have to eat foods which are already high vibrating. And eventually, the more you are on, let's say, a fruits based lifestyle, and then eventually you will rather, our transition is towards something called the breatharian lifestyle, where you are only going to live on air, which is oxygen. If somebody today can live on oxygen as human beings, we can also live on oxygen as human beings. You should remember that earthly foods are just placebos. They are not here to cure you. They are not here to heal you. They are not here to do anything to you. We eat those foods because they are highly vibrating, and then they will ease, or rather save, some of our energy to help us heal in many ways, which the body's innate ability of healing, which Asha spoke about yesterday. Body just need to be given that energy back, or it needs to be relieved of some of the digestion intensive work that we keep doing, mind thinking and all of those things. Just once we free up that energy, it will do whatever it wants to do. It has its own intelligence. We are like assistants to the body. We are not bosses. We don't know anything that the body does. It's best that we don't know what the body does. We just have to say, okay, you like fruits, vegetables, and greens, I will give you this. You want, okay, now you want to clean yourself up, then I will help you clean up yourself. I will not give you so much of work now, so you can clean up. So this is what is very important. See, even Patriji has told, of course, this picture is not very great. So all humanity should become non-vegetarians to vegetarians, vegetarians to fruitarians, fruitarians to breatharians. He himself has told that. So hence, that is our true purpose in life, is to move towards oneness. And in the path of oneness, you cannot hold on to your pleasures. You know that you all know that in the path of oneness, we have to let go of all our attachments to worldly pleasures. And one of this pleasure is all these foods that we are eating, animal foods that we are eating, and dairy also for that matter. One more thing is, if a child has to always be attracted to mother's milk, there is a natural hormone in every single mother that is produced, which will attract the baby to even a bland milk. So similarly, we are attracted to that cow's milk because the cow is also producing a huge amount of natural hormones. And that is why we are constantly wanting to feed on that milk. You give them some amount of break, they will say, okay, no, I don't think I want it anymore. So many people who come to me, they come to me saying, no, Smita, I can't even leave dairy. But then once we feed them a lot of fruits and all of those things, they'll say goodbye to that within 1 month. Of course, there are people who don't do that also, because there is a lot of mind chatter that is going on. Once there is a lot of surrender in people, once there is a lot of openness, acceptance and things like that, and they are ready to embrace this new life, but then they just need help, all that will automatically happen, because universe is always going to cooperate, right? So, sorry, I took a lot of time today, question and answers. So yeah, any questions? I'll take a few. Anita, can you please help me?
Yes, sure.
Yeah. Yeah, please. Who's speaking?
Prashant here, ma'am. Thank you for the session. The insights that you provided were quite useful. I never thought that, by drinking milk, we are actually contributing towards cruelty to the animals. Thanks for that. Ma'am, my question is, we are now used to many dairy products like curds and buttermilk. So how can these be substituted? Are there any substitutes in the plant-based?
Yeah, plenty of substitutes are there in the plant-based world. We have one of these days, we are going to share the recipes of all of those things. Even if you want to make it at home also, you can make it. I'm going to provide the recipes. Even if you don't want to make it at home, there are certain, people who actually supply these milks, especially in Bangalore. There is Good Milk or One Good Milk. They supply a lot of plant-based products. So today, India has a lot of plant-based products. So it is not at all difficult to live plant-based in India.
Yeah. I have one more question. So my question was, we eat a lot of vegetable oils like groundnut oil. So are these bad, or do they really contribute to the cholesterol as popularly?
We will cover that in the subsequent days.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Next.
Hello.
Yes, who's this?
Hi, ma'am.
Yes,
This
Aman.
is Aman here. I just wanted to ask, even vegetarians have a lot of uric acid issues these days. So what would you say to that? I mean,
because they are also consuming animal products, right? So anything that the liver cannot process, eventually.
no, they are not. No, even the ones that are not consuming animal products are having uric acid issues.
There are other foods that they may be having which are not useful for the body. Because I did not say that all plant-based eaters are all healthy, right? We need to choose our foods. For example, if fruits are our primary foods, then anything, if our primary foods are like this, any deviation will obviously produce that much of problems in the body. Our job in Nature Cure is to shorten this deviation just so that the body can go back to the center. So I have a uric acid patient, and then he was on vegetarian and he was slightly non-vegetarian also. But then once I put him back to rather high raw, he healed.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Next.
Thank you.
Hello, ma'am. Very, very nice and very informative session, ma'am. I've been meditating since last 1.5 years, and it's been, I think, over a year since I have left milk. I used to be a tea lover. I used to drink milk daily twice, I think, but I have stopped drinking milk, and I have stopped eating kheer also. But unfortunately, recently I was detected, I was having some vitamin deficiency, and I'm having tablets, and my family members are like, why don't you drink milk? Even the pandits are drinking, even Lord Krishna used to drink and everything. But I just maintained my silence, and in my mind there were a few yes or no, that whether I should be doing or not. But you have again reinforced that I should not be drinking milk, because even I have seen a video wherein I have seen the torture that the cows were being put to. So, and I'll just like to add one more thing, that I had kheer even for the last 1.5 year. I have not had kheer, but I went to Kartal few days back, and kheer was being served there. So without thinking anything, I just had it. I don't know was it plant-based milk or animal-based milk. I just had it. I thought if it's being served here, then definitely the source should be genuine, whatever. So
in future, definitely Kartal will also have plant-based. I'm sure that is also going to happen. I'm sure that is also Patriji's dream in the future. And you don't worry about kheer. Don't worry about kheer. You can make kheer with coconut milk at home. Why are you saying that you cannot have kheer? Please have kheer.
No, ma'am, actually, it's only me that the person who is avoiding milk at my house. So I don't, everything, my like other family members may put restrictions, so I just okay, it's not that I want to have it, so it's okay. Ma'am, I wanted to ask about curd. Like curd is very healthy and all these things, so like should we avoid curd also? Because curd
it is coming from the same milk, no? Same cow, same milk, same everything. Ghee also should be avoided because it's coming from the same source. They are like next step, no?
Ma'am, what about honey, ma'am? Honey or
See,
silk?
honey also there is a problem, majorly because see, honey bees, if you have to buy forest honey, which is pure and all that, it aram se costs 4,000 to 8,000 in the market. And it is not, we cannot sustain that kind of a life. So but these days, whatever honey we get in the market are all commercialized, which means they have invested in those bees, and those bees have been managed in the farms. And bees are investment, which means they put money and then bought those bees. And if the bee goes out, we don't know whether the bee is going to come back, whether they get squashed on the windshield of a car or something like that, right? So what they do, they put a net and then they clip off the wings of the queen bee. They put it inside that beehive, and then all the bees are there only. So they put some sugar syrup and things like that, and then that is when they feed what. So the bees are drinking that sugar syrup and they are vomiting there only. Honey is nothing but bee vomit. So that is why it also has a lot of microbiomes in that. Bee microbiomes are there inside that. And that looks like honey, but the source is not coming from flowers all the time. Hence, because again, there's ethical issues where queen bee is tortured and all of those things. And also source is not healthy. So hence honey that you get aram se for 340 rupees or 50 rupees, whatever, all these honeys that we get for 80 rupees, 90 rupees, and will definitely not worth it.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Sure. You can have date syrup. You can have maple syrup. There are plenty of sources, alternative sources. We don't even miss anything in our life. We are enjoying our life like anything. It's just a matter that you don't know yet. In future, you will get to know.
Ma'am, I've been trying to avoid leather products also, like shoes also. I'm trying to wear canvas shoes or whatever, and bags, purses. I'm trying to avoid leather products also. Consciously, I'm making like, I don't know how much I'll succeed, but I'm trying not to use.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next. Nidhi Agarwal.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello, Hemantini ji.
Yeah. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Ma'am, I just listened to yours and really liked it, all your plant-based, whatever you just spoke now. Because I'm a pure vegetarian now, it may not be a very difficult for me to adopt all this, whatever you have said. But my question is, now I am 64 years. Okay. Now, all of a sudden, you cannot switch on immediately to all this. There are some habits like, as you said, coffee and tea and all. Coffee I left. But tea, even to go step by step to come to your whatever advice you are giving, is there any small steps to start with?
Yeah, absolutely. Please start with coconut milk. Take some coconut. We'll show how to make coconut milk at home.
No, because
so
my problem is milk. Morning I need to have something hot.
No, it's okay.
Juice and all is cold. Like
initially, you don't have to. Initially, you don't have to quit tea. You can start with coconut milk tea, almond milk tea. Come to that next step. Go plant-based tea, coffee. Then you can go health-based and quit all your tea, coffee. Then you can go to chuku coffee, where there is absolutely no coffee or tea in that. It is just herbs, all these cloves and this and that, ajwain, cumin, all of those kashayam they say, no? You can drink that one. Then you can go to, let's say, something else. So step by step, don't see this plant-based lifestyle should not be a torture. You should go step by step. Give yourself that compassion, show compassion to yourself, be kind to yourself. 65 years, if you have been in one lifestyle, be kind when your body is not cooperating. You see, my intention is to go there, let's go there slowly. And then take 1 year, you will become plant.
Okay. Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thanks.
Next, anybody? Nidhi Agarwal. Oh, I think we already spoke. Anybody on the chat? Anybody on the chat? Anything that you think of that we should address, Anita, on the chat?
Yes.
Diane, I think you had a question. Can you unmute yourself and then ask? Can you unmute Diane Moses?
Yeah, wait, I'll do it.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, Diane. How are you?
Hi, good morning. Or for me, it's morning. Thank you. They already answered it in the chat about the tea. I didn't realize people drink milk in their tea because here in Hawaii, it's just the tea, the herb tea. So we're good. I'm safe.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, please go ahead and then drink that to your heart's content. All the herbs are definitely important. It's okay,
Good
please.
to see you again.
Thank you again. Sure. Anything else?
Yeah, we can wrap up for today, then we can all meet tomorrow.
Sure. Thank you, friends. Thank you for joining.